First and foremost, condolences. In what was regarded as an inhumane and chilling case against a former prison officer, 35-year-old Elias Morgan has now been found guilty of the painstakingly pre-planned M of Lenny Scott, whom was also a dad of 3, twin boys and a daughter. Lenny Scott had moved around the prison system at least twice before, but he had worked as a prison officer within H&P Altcourse. On March 26th of 2020, Lenny Scott had found a mobile phone in Elias Morgan's cell during a routine spin after intel suggested Elias Morgan had been housing a mobile phone. Knowing that the confiscated phone contained hints of Elias Morgan's bad behaviour and also evidence of his affair with a female prison officer called Sarah Williams, Elias Morgan attempted at first to use his pull to ensure Lenny Scott did not hand over the mobile phone to authorities. When that did not work, Elias sought to corrupt the respected prison officer, whom was big on integrity, by offering a cash payment of upwards of £1,500 in order to get rid of, lose the mobile phone, pretend that he had not seen it at all. However, Lenny Scott refused the cash payment. Elias Morgan then allegedly told Lenny Scott, "I'll bide my time, but I promise you I'll get you." These words were not a throwaway comment or offhanded. It was a promise. Real words that would spur Elias Morgan on even 4 years later. Elias had then made GUN gestures with his fingers at Lenny Scott. Now, during the 9-week trial at Preston Crown Court, the court heard that in the following days, Lenny Scott had reported Elias's behaviour to both the prison management and to the police. Lenny Scott also confided in his dad and explained that he was actually scared for his family. The jury was even played a recording of Lenny Scott making a phone call to 101, where the dad of 3 told the operator Elias Morgan had described in perfect detail his address, his partner, and even described his twin boys and his vehicle. Lenny Scott was recorded telling the operator, "This is my 3rd jail. I've been threatened all the time, but this is a bit." Lenny then struggled for the words to accurately describe how he felt before the operator countered, "Too close to home," and Lenny Scott agreed. In order to limit contact between Lenny Scott and Elias Morgan, Elias was then transferred to a different wing just 10 days after the phone incident. However, Lenny Scott's parents do not believe that the prison did enough to help their son. Now, Elias Morgan was known to be a mid-level dealer. He, according to investigating police officers, was also a man who knew how to hold onto a vendetta. Any perceived plight against him would be handled with extreme actions, and it would result into an M. Elias Morgan also had a hatred towards rats, grasses. Now, by 2021, Lenny Scott was sacked as a prison officer at H&P Altcourse after he had struck an inmate in the act of trying to subdue him and restrain him. And while Lenny Scott continued his life by finding work in a warehouse, raising his children, Elias Morgan completed his jail sentence for drug crimes. And by 2024, Elias Morgan ultimately found the moment that he was waiting for. He was now a free man, and he was going to put his plans into real actions. In the days leading up to the M, Elias Morgan, whom was still facing charges for having a mobile phone while in jail and was due to face another trial 11 days after this took place, and was on bail, he travelled across Merseyside and scoped out Lenny Scott's home address, frequented gyms, noted down times that Lenny Scott would work out. Essentially, Elias Morgan had followed Lenny Scott's routine across Merseyside and Lancashire, where both men had lived. Now, police say Elias had actually driven close to Lenny Scott's home in Prescott, a gym in the Speke area of Liverpool, and the gym on Peel Road, which would later be the location of the M. Elias Morgan was also well connected with other criminals. He was cunning, ruthless, and as described by Lenny Scott's parents, plain evil. Even during the trial, as Lenny Scott's mum took the witness stand, Elias had made outbursts, sometimes acted bored or unbothered, and even tried to get Lenny Scott's mum's attention by glaring at her for long periods of time. And then, on the 7th of November, Elias Morgan's friend Anthony Cleary had drove a low-loader truck with a van on the back to an estate in Skelmersdale, a few minutes from the Peel Road gym, under Elias Morgan's direction. Now, Elias Morgan and Anthony Cleary were long-time friends. They were good friends. Both men were known to rave together, go on holidays, and discuss crimes. Again, Anthony Cleary did what he was told, no questions asked. Anthony Cleary also admitted in court that he was paid £150 just to drop the van off. And in less than 24 hours, CCTV picked up Elias Morgan leaving his family home in Highgate, in the Edge Hill area. He drove a Mercedes GLC and then travelled to Skelmersdale at roughly 4:43 p.m. And then CCTV picked up the Mercedes at 6 p.m, where the Mercedes GLC was parked in Darfield Estate, close to where the van Anthony Cleary had parked the day before. The prosecution says Elias Morgan had gone to the white van, opened the back doors, and then unloaded a black Surron electric bike. The bike was then used to travel to Peel Street Gym. By this time, Elias Morgan had been disguised. He was now wearing an orange high-vis jacket, waiting in a gym car park. Elias Morgan watched as gym goers exited the gym and made their way to their cars. He was looking at everyone's face. For 53 minutes, Elias Morgan had waited and waited and waited in the car park. His determination to kill Lenny Scott was absolute, unwavering. It did not matter that there were people around either. Now, Lenny Scott exited the gym and then was seen standing by his car, talking to an acquaintance. When Elias Morgan was once again caught on CCTV, taking strides over to Lenny. Lenny had no idea that he was about to be down. Elias then raised his hand, a pistol gripped tightly, and then the trigger was pressed. Lenny Scott was struck 6 times, head and chest. Now, despite being in anguish, total anguish, Lenny Scott attempted to flee, but of course, the wounds were too much and he collapsed out of the frame of CCTV, while Elias Morgan then fled the scene. Now, when police investigated the police noted that the van that had secured the Surron e-bike was actually registered to a cleaning company that was run by Elias Morgan's brother, Ezra. Now, in the end, Elias Morgan had actually handed himself to the police. And of course, he's now been found guilty of the and was told that he would be sentenced on the 2nd of September for charges. The crazy thing about the situation is as well, Elias Morgan's own friend, Anthony Cleary, his good friend, was found not guilty of all charges. Anthony Cleary says that he had just delivered the van to where Elias Morgan wanted, but he had no idea that somebody would be killed. And of course, the jury believed him. Anthony Cleary also helped the prosecution secure a conviction, but we'll get into that later. How long do you think Elias Morgan will get? I'm betting a minimum term of 27 years. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Stay safe.